Baraka's attorney says Habba violated the mayor's constitutional rights when he was taken into custody on a trespassing charge at Delaney Hall earlier this month.
Oh, they say apparently except her former client, convicted felon Donald Trump. They're so mad and bitter. The government was forced to dismiss the charges. They were forced to. They probably came to negotiated terms with you that you're now violating. Probably a handshake deal. Okay, we'll drop it. You're good. Alina Habba sued by the mayor of a New Jersey city called Ras Baraka. Now, you see in this lawsuit filed in the District of New Jersey, it's a federal lawsuit. He's suing Alina Habba and Ricky Patel for a civil claim that we'll get into. But what's interesting here is Alina Habba had an indication that this was coming. Said, shocking, a leak from Mayor Baraka's team. She posted this yesterday saying he's planning to sue the feds. And my advice to the mayor, feel free to join me in prioritizing violent crime and public safety, or you can just come out and do a little press conference and sue me. Now, far better use of the time for the citizens of New Jersey if you want, or you could just do this. You could have your attorney come out and just kind of lecture people while you stand there in the background as the mayor just kind of pouting. I think he's pouting. What is this? I'm suing. Yeah. We're going to check out what was being reported from CBS New York on this.
Breaking news, Newark Mayor Ras Baraka is suing the acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey over his arrest at a Newark ICE facility earlier this month. The steps that were taken just this morning. Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Hsu. Now on air and streaming on CBS News New York. We begin with that breaking news. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka is suing the acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba. Baraka's attorney says Habba violated the mayor's constitutional rights when he was taken into custody on a trespassing charge at Delaney Hall earlier this month. The federal lawsuit also accuses Habba of defamation for comments she made about the case.
She said he willingly chose to disregard the law, which is false. And later that night, she went on Fox and again made false statements.
I just want to say this is not about revenge or not about me going after individuals because I think they've wronged me specifically. Ultimately, I think this is about them taking accountability for what has happened to me.
Ricky Patel, the Homeland Security Investigations agent in charge in Newark, has also been named in the lawsuit. Habba reacted to word of the lawsuit, saying in a statement, my advice to the mayor, feel free to join me in prioritizing violent crime and public safety. We'll have much more on this story coming up later on CBS News New York, starting at 5.
All right, so that's their statement on it, and they are now fighting back, I suppose. Here's what the lawsuit looks like that was submitted in the District of New Jersey, saying the plaintiff is the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Defendant Alina Habba, she's the interim U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey, now being sued. The jurisdiction happening in the district court for the District of New Jersey. Here are the facts. They say, as the duly elected mayor of Newark, Mayor Baraka has an obligation to promote health and safety. Baraka and Newark and our inspectors have been repeatedly thwarted in our efforts to enforce the laws. So then they say there's a GEO group. It's a private prison group. They have a contract with ICE, and they say that they've denied access to Newark officials to their facility for many reasons. Now, exercising his rights under the First Amendment, Mayor Ras Baraka, a Democrat, made many public statements expressing his view that the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution guarantees all persons, including immigrants, the right to due process. They got it. They get a certain version of that. They get plenty of due process when they get arrested and removed. They want them to have due process plus, just to be clear. They already get due process. And has vocally opposed the abuse and mistreatment of immigrants, which nobody's abusing or mistreating them. They're being deported because they're in our country illegally. Mayor Baraka was alarmed when the GEO group allowed Homeland to house detainees in a building without the required inspections or certificate of occupancy. He sought to ensure the safety and health of residents, which is his duty as mayor. Now, defendant Alina Habba has made her biased political goals explicit, he says. Days before being sworn in, she attacked Cory Booker and Phil Murphy, saying that they have failed the state of New Jersey, which is true. That's not an attack. It's just a true statement. On March 28th, the day she was sworn in as U.S. Attorney, Alina Habba announced her plan to use the power of the office of the U.S. Attorney to help one-party Republicans Trump. She said, we could turn New Jersey red. Hopefully, while I'm there, I can help that cause. The day she was sworn in. These goals are antithetical to her role and her ethical obligations as a U.S. Attorney. Now, days after being sworn in, Habba also also said on Fox News that she would be investigating New Jersey's governor and his appointed attorney general. Well, after breaking the law, they said that New Jersey's lawful immigrant trust directive is thwarting Trump's policies. Habba claimed that the governor and the AG were interfering in her efforts to take all criminals out of the country, which, yeah, is what she's there to do. Oh, they say apparently except her former client, convicted felon Donald Trump. They're so mad and bitter. Convicted felon by Judge Merchan in that fake criminal trial that's on appeal. It's probably going to get reversed once the Court of Appeals accepts the removal. He should have never been prosecuted. And what was his penalty for that conviction? Oh yeah, complete and total discharge. Hilarious. But they wanted that so hard so that they can just say that. Apparently, except for her former client. All right, man, she's rounding up you, the governor, everybody. So you're on notice. So just get ready. On May 9th, 3 members of the House of Representatives, this person and this person, and LaMonica, body slam LaMonica, they showed up for an inspection. Members of Congress have an absolute legal right to inspect all facilities. Yeah, but the mayor doesn't. What are you bringing up her for? Congressman MacGyver invited Baraka to come join. Numerous media companies and other individuals were there, many of whom watched the event. So did we. And just to be clear, we saw that on Fox News there. Now, on the afternoon on May 9th, other people also got there. They were escorted inside the gate and they kept waiting. Then at 1:42, Mayor Baraka arrived at Delaney Hall, spoke to some members of the public outside the gate. 1:46, many of the members of the public gathered outside the fence and the gate, began chanting that the mayor should be allowed to join the members of Congress. At 1:50, the GEO group guard at the gate invited Mayor Baraka to enter the inside the fence of Delaney Hall, stating, "It's going to calm the crowd if you let me in." So the guard opened the gate and invited him in. So he went inside. Then he just calmly waited just a few feet inside the fence. Then someone else named Patel, who doesn't represent the owner of the property, approached him, told him to leave. Even though an agent, someone else invited him in, he was told to leave. Then he said, "What? I was invited in." He said, "I don't care. Now you're gone." Now, then defendant and Baraka were speaking at 2:36. Members of Congress saw Baraka through the windows and walked to speak with him. Then from 2:36 to 2:38, members of Congress spoke with defendant Patel, stated, "We've been waiting for an hour." He said, "Well, if you're here, I'm going to arrest you," said defendant Patel. Good for him. The mayor said, "Okay, I'm leaving now." Patel responded, "Okay, go." The mayor and the congresswoman immediately walked to the gate at 2:38. While standing near the gate, Coleman attempted to pass the congresswoman a cell phone. When it fell, Baraka reached down to help her pick it up. After Baraka assisted the congresswoman to retrieve her cell phone, the guard opened the gate. He complied with the order to leave, and they joined. Then they went to the holding room. Someone overheard the plan to arrest the mayor and saw many agents approaching the gate towards the mayor. The members of Congress then walked with the agents through the open gate to join the mayor outside on the public property. About 5 minutes later, after Baraka left the property, 20 agents, armed en masse, descended on the mayor and members of Congress without any attempt to calm fears or ensure peace. So they started it. Got it. Egged on by Patel, who ordered them to take him down, meaning violently tackle him, Patel, because he's getting sued too. Not Cash, but someone else. The agents pushed, shoved, and assaulted the mayor's team and members of Congress before violently pulling his arms and arresting him without probable cause. Now, agents then handcuffed the mayor behind his back in an effort to effect maximum humiliation for her, and she called it later a petty offense. This is what Alina gets for dismissing the charges. Should have prosecuted him too. At 3:07, Homeland representatives left the hall with Baraka, brought him to another facility where he was subjected to being photographed for a mugshot and fingerprinted. Then agents interviewed Baraka for 30 minutes. He said, "I was invited." At 3:05, before he had been transported from Delaney, hours before the attorney had filed a complaint, and before the mayor had been fingerprinted, Habba issued a false and defamatory statement on her personal account, saying the mayor of Newark committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings. That will not stand. He's been taken into custody. No one's above the law. She issued the statement, authorized the false arrest despite clear evidence that he had not committed the petty offense of defiant trespass. In authorizing the arrest without proper legal grounds, she was acting for political reasons, saying that she participated later in a telephone interview where she also made statements, right? So she hopped on by Fox or something. Following the events, then they conspired to promote other statements. Then they sent Trisha McLaughlin, who we talk a lot about here. She hits the media a lot, appeared on CNN and made the following statements saying the mayor did this, multiple people arrested, blah, blah, blah. So the government is now making defamatory statements, I guess. They're not suing her though. Defendants Habba and Patel conspired with others to create a false affidavit stating that there was some version of trespass. He left the hall, ordered to do so. And so all of this was made with malice. And they increased his time in custody, and he had his initial appearance in federal court virtually and actually showed up in court. court. He was subjected to pretrial services interviews. They invaded his privacy. Wow, with extremely intrusive and demeaning questions about his personal life and history. Yeah, just like the entire federal government did to the right for the last 4 years. Yeah, it sucks when you get arrested, doesn't it? Because you think you're doing something right. You think you're doing something that's politically protected. It sucks, doesn't it? When someone else just takes total power and abuses it, according to you. And I'm not saying that Alina Habba did that, but yeah, it sucks, didn't it? And they did that to the entire right for 4 years. Now, on May 15th, Mayor Baraka attended a status conference. Habba was also there. As part of the demeaning process, although Mayor Baraka had already been photographed, U.S. Marshals took the mayor to the basement and they further humiliated him by taking his photographs and his fingerprints again. After video of the public showing that Habba and Patel had lied, falsely arrested and maliciously prosecuted Baraka, she threatened with him with more false charges, claiming that she would charge him with resisting arrest if he didn't give up his right to sue for attorney's fees. Well, in terms of a plea deal, you have to give up certain rights. Like, you're going to just take a plea deal, you give up something in order for the government giving up something. If the government's going to charge you and they decide not to, then you give up something, which is to sue the government. And you kind of come to terms. Now, on May 19th, 10 days after that, she moved to dismiss the charges, right? So it sounds like there was probably a verbal conversation about this. Let's see what they say. In granting the motion, Judge Espinoza admonished the office for the handling of this matter. No one cares what that judge says. So he says, okay, so count one. Violation of Fourth Amendment rights, false arrest against Alina Habba and Ricky Patel, I guess in their individual capacities, not as government employees who have immunity to a qualified level. Plaintiff repeats and incorporates all this, says the Fourth Amendment says rights against illegal seizures and arrests. Baraka was falsely arrested without probable cause. The petty crime of defiant trespass requires that the accused refuses to leave. And Baraka did leave after being asked to do so. He was on private property, so there was no probable cause and the arrest was unlawful. Now, that happens all the time. There's qualified immunity and the cops don't generally pay out for those things, but also mayors are not generally arrested either. Now, defendant Patel, apparently in consultation with Habba and others, ordered the arrest despite clear evidence. And so this is kind of now an evidentiary thing. Are you sure? Apparently, what? In consultation? Patel did that? So Patel is responsible, apparently in consultation with Habba? So you're roping her in and you don't even know that there's causation that connects the two there? Defendant Habba acting outside of any prosecutorial function. There it is, right? She is just like a cop who's grossly negligent, right? Who acts outside of the lawful capability to act. They're saying she was not doing any of this. She was basically abusing her power, broadcasting defamatory statements and more. These are unreasonable seizures. And while the U.S. Supreme Court has said there are special factors to consider, this is plainly unlawful. It says defendant Habba was not serving in a prosecutorial function when she ordered the arrest, allegedly. There was no functional tie to the judicial process, and saying prosecutors are not entitled to absolute immunity. No, but they got a lot of it. Seeking to generate evidence in support of an arrest means she does not have immunity. As a result of this false arrest, he's had reputational harm and emotional damage. Of course he has. Count two. Same thing. Violation of Fourth Amendment rights for malicious prosecution, incorporating the same. She was acting outside the bounds of prosecutorial immunity. It was unjustified. The government was forced to dismiss the charges. They were forced to. They probably came to negotiated terms with you that you're now violating, probably a handshake deal. Okay, we'll drop it. You're good. And now he's suing her. So they suffered severe reputational harm, of course, and emotional damage, and suing Alina personally for defamation. Made false and defamatory statements saying that accused him of a crime, which is defamation per se, and did it with actual malice intended to harm his reputation. He's a public figure, but she did it with actual malice. And so what do they want? We don't know. There's no number on it. Compensatory damages for pain, suffering, stress, humiliation, mental anguish, emotional damage, personal physical injury, physical sickness. He's sick? What happened? As well as damage to his reputation. He wants punitive damages, attorney's fees, interest, reimbursement for taxes, and everything else. Signed by Nancy Erica Smith. And so that is going out against Alina Habba. We were seeing if Alina was going to respond to this today. Only thing we've got from her thus far is she had a great day meeting with federal and local law enforcement partners to discuss safety protocols in New Jersey, saying, we are prepared to find and prosecute all crimes in the state, including illegal drone activity. Fly a drone and find out, says Alina. So that's happening there. We'll keep our eye on this lawsuit, and thanks for subscribing and joining as we do.